Welcome into Sports Talk at the Stadium this afternoon from College Station, Texas. Kyle Field, home of the 12th man, where this afternoon Texas A&M knocked off South Carolina 35-28. Our coverage here at sportstalksc.com is brought to you by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. Heck of a game here this afternoon. Going in, South Carolina was a big underdog, about 16 and a half points. And you didn't think South Carolina would be able to give Texas A&M much of a battle this afternoon, but they did. And it came down to the fourth quarter, and South Carolina's got the football with 90 seconds to go and 80 yards to pay dirt, but they couldn't do anything with it. They had a couple of sacks, an incomplete pass, and an interception, and that killed their final possession. Sean Elliott said had they scored on that possession, they would have gone for two and had gone for the win, but it never got to that point because they couldn't get out of their end of the field. In fact, that's the way it was in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter was scoreless between these two teams, and South Carolina had three possessions but never could get deep into Texas A&M territory to have a chance to tie or go ahead. So a very strong effort for South Carolina goes for naught here this afternoon. It looked like this was going to be a back and forth offensive game throughout, and it started off that way, and then things settled down in the second half. And as I said, there was no scoring in the fourth quarter. South Carolina did some good things running the football. Offensively, they really did enough to win the ball game. They had a season high of total offense. They had their best day or one of their best days running the football. But defensively, again, Texas A&M with their new quarterback, Kyler Murray, was just too strong with too many weapons, and South Carolina is still just too porous on defense to stop a good offensive team like Texas A&M. Just to recap the scoring, the Aggies led 7-0. The Gamecocks came back on a nice little trick play with Lorenzo Nunez in the ball game, and he had a reverse with an option to throw or run, and he ran it in from 7 yards out to make it 7-7. Then Perry Orth, who had a good day for him, he had a 6-yard run to put the Gamecocks up 14-7. A&M tied it up on a run by Trey Carson to make it 14-14. This is all in the second quarter now. Brandon Wiles had a 3-yard run to make it 21-14. James White came back with a 2-yard run to tie the game at 21 at the half. And here's kind of where it got away from South Carolina, because in this kind of game, the way the offenses were going and the defenses were having their issues, the offense that didn't follow through with a score was going to put its team in a bad position. And South Carolina got the ball to start the second half. They did not score. A&M goes down and does score. So the Aggies go up by 7. And then on the next possession, Orth throws a pick six. So all of a sudden it becomes a 14-point game. Donovan Wilson, 60-yard interception return that made it 35-21. The Gamecocks came back on a 33-yard touchdown run by Wiles late in the third quarter to give them hope going to the fourth. But as I mentioned, there was no scoring in the fourth quarter. The Gamecocks never got inside the A&M 48 in the fourth quarter, so they didn't really have a chance to threaten to score and to tie it up or take the lead. I mentioned Perry Orth, a good game for him. He had a run of over 60 yards in the game. He threw the ball pretty well. He did have the pick six, and he did throw an interception on the Gamecocks' last offensive play, and he was under a lot of pressure on that last series. But he did finish 15 of 24, 192 yards. He was sacked 4 times. Wiles had his second straight 100-yard-plus rushing game, 128 yards on 17 carries for him. Maybe the one negative on the offense was that Pharaoh Cooper didn't get the ball enough today. He only had 4 catches. He had 2 rushes, so getting him the ball in space, they didn't do enough of that today. Texas A&M, boy, they had some great individual performances. The freshman Kyler Murray, who's never lost a game now in high school and college as a starting quarterback, 156 rushing yards for him and a touchdown. Carson had 122 rushing yards. Murray was 20 of 28 for 223 yards and a touchdown. And really, he had all kind of time to throw the ball. Ricky Seals-Jones had 6 catches and broke a lot of tackles after catches. Christian Kirk had 6 catches. Overall, it was A&M's best offensive day of the year. They rushed for 321 yards. They had 544 yards of offense. Of course, you remember they went over 600 yards against the Gamecocks last year. We talked about the fourth quarter. A&M kept the ball for over 10 minutes in the fourth quarter, so they limited the Gamecocks' opportunities to get back in it in the fourth quarter. A&M was 6 of 13 on third down, 1 of 1 on fourth down. So you could 7 of 14 in conversions is a pretty big number there. And defensively, A&M had 4 sacks on the day and 9 tackles for loss. So they were able to penetrate the Gamecock defensive front. The Gamecocks only had 1 sack and only 2 tackles for loss. So once again, the defensive front having trouble fighting off blocks from a big, strong offensive line. Generally speaking, the attitude by the Gamecocks afterwards seemed to be one of, I'm not going to say satisfaction because you're never satisfied with a loss, but maybe optimism because Sean Elliott believes that they built on something that they started a couple of weeks ago in the win over Vanderbilt. Then they had the off week. Then they came here and as a 16-point underdog and played a team to the last possession. So I think he feels like they're making some progress, but still goes down as a loss. The Gamecocks are now 1-5 in the SEC. That guarantees them a second straight losing record in SEC play, and they are, of course, 3-5 overall. They'll play next week at Tennessee to see if they can get another win for Sean Elliott as he's trying to impress Ray Tanner with what he can do with his football team. Good effort today, but then again, if it's not a win, it really doesn't matter all that much. We will have coverage of Sean Elliott's conference call for you tomorrow here at sportstalksc.com. And, of course, Monday night, we look forward to talking with you to get your thoughts about what transpired right out here at Kyle Field on this Saturday afternoon. Have a great weekend.